We're going to finish Judges today, and we'll be going on to Ruth. Now, last week, you remember the Levite went to Gibeah, and the men of the community stopped by to have sex with him, and he gave his concubine wife to them instead, and they killed her. And so the Levite goes home, takes his wife's body with him, chops her up into 12 pieces, and sends the pieces out to the 12 tribes of Israel. And you have to assume that there was a message that went with it, and the message was what happened. So you pick this up at chapter 20. So all the children of Israel came out from Dan to Beersheba, as well as the land of Gilead, and the congregation gathered together as one man before the Lord at Mizpah. And the leaders of all the people, all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people, 400,000 foot soldiers who drew the sword. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel had gone up to Mizpah. Then the children of Israel said, "Tell us, how did this wicked deed happen?" So the Levite, the husband of the woman who was murdered, answered and said, "My concubine and I went to Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin, to spend the night, and the men of Gibeah arose against me and surrounded the house at night because of me. They intended to kill me, but instead they ravaged my concubine so that she died. So I took hold of my concubine, cut her into pieces, and sent her throughout all the territory of the inheritance of Israel, because they committed lewdness and outrage in Israel. Look, all of you are children of Israel. Give your advice and counsel here and now." So all the people rose as one man, saying, "None of us will go to his tent, nor will we turn back to his house. But now this thing which we will do to Gibeah, nor turn back to his house, but now is the thing which we will do to Gibeah. We will go up against it by lot. We will take 10 men out of every 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, 100 out of every 1,000, and 1,000 out of every 10,000, to make provisions for the people. And when they come to Gibeah in Benjamin, they may repay all the vileness that they have done in Israel." So all the men of Israel gathered against the city, united together as one man. Then the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribes of Benjamin, saying, "What is this wickedness that has occurred among you? Now therefore deliver up the perverted men who are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and remove the evil from Israel." But the children of Benjamin would not listen to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. Instead, the children of Benjamin gathered together from their cities to Gibeah to do battle against the children of Israel. And from their cities at that time, the children of Benjamin numbered 26,000 men who drew the sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, who numbered 700 select men. Among all his people were 700 select men who were left-handed. Every one could sling a stone a hair's breadth and not miss. Now besides Benjamin, the men of Israel numbered 400,000 men who drew the sword. All of these were men of war. Now, anybody here ever participate in a protest? You ever march against something? Did you ever protest anything?
Yes.
Now what?
Health care bill. What, 2 years ago?
What'd y'all do?
we went to our representatives, we went into their offices, and we asked them to vote against the health care bill. So I guess that was a protest.
You stood up for something that you believed in. You think that the health care bill is something that you don't agree with, so you go to your representatives and you petition them, you ask them, vote against this. It's pretty much what's happening here. Now, something like an aside, like a little bit of background. Heretofore, the 12 tribes of Israel never came together. They all got their own little thing going on. This united them. This is the thing that brought them together. All except for the tribe of Benjamin. Now you'll notice that they gathered together, you know, a pretty sizable amount of people. We got 400,000 warriors. And Benjamin didn't show up. Not that, you know, they were invited. This wasn't a secret. They didn't come. What does this say about Benjamin? The tribe of Benjamin. Now y'all understand what happened. Are you all dead? I just told you the story. They took this guy's, he gave him his wife, and they raped her to death. She died.
Well, the Benjamites didn't think that they did anything wrong, obviously. Or they didn't care.
Okay? Pretty much fell on deaf ears. What would happen to you, do you think, if you went down, let's find a good place to go down to. You went down to the Internal Revenue Service in Washington, D.C., and said that you thought, and you took a bunch of people with you and said, we think that you are acting outside the law, that you are, or you went to the White House, or you went to Congress with a bunch of people, armed people, and you said, we think that you are doing something wrong. I want you to deliver up the congressman who did thus and such, whatever it was. They've been stealing, they've been, I don't know what. Of course, we all know they've been stealing. What would happen? You think they would go in, here they come, we got them in handcuffs, we're giving them to you.
They'd protect them.
You'd have the National Guard on your back, you would have SWAT teams, you would probably be dead on the scene. They would kill you. Do you think that's right? Would they be correct in doing that?
Well, yeah, according to our laws, they would be.
Okay.
You could ask them to, you know,
Story from today's headlines. Who was the Trayvon? Trayvon got killed. I'm not sure of all the, nobody's sure of what the circumstances are. But the new Black Panther, what are they, group, whatever, has put a bounty on the guy's head who is said to have done it.
$1 million.
Okay? They put a bounty on him. Okay? Now, do you see the same government who would be protecting the congressman or protecting the president or protecting the Internal Revenue Service or wherever else you showed up? Do you see them protecting this guy? If you put out a bounty, if I got on the internet, if I went home, got on my internet and put out a bounty on Joe Schmo, I don't know, for doing such and such, what do you think would happen at my house within a couple of hours?
Right. You'd be in jail.
I'd be in jail. Okay? what does it take for you to get with the program, to stand up and say, this is wrong, we're going to correct it. We want you to send out the people that are responsible. Okay? Get the picture. This isn't just a then and now thing. This continues. This is here for our benefit. This is here to teach us. This is here to instruct us. This is here for us to take note of. Tribe of Benjamin thumbs their nose at the rest of the other tribes. Now, understand, everybody now knows what happened. Nobody is disputing it. It's not, they're not saying, no, the tribe of Benjamin is not saying this did not happen. They're saying, come on down, we're going to fight with you. We're not going to send out the people we're not going to punish them. We're not going to do anything. Now you also notice that the Levite this is tail end of verse 3. Then the children of Israel said, tell us, how did this wicked deed happen? My concubine and I went into Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin, to spend the night, and the men of Gibeah rose against me and surrounded the house. But instead, they intended to kill me, but instead they ravished my wife. Yep. What's left out? They're interrogating the Levite. How did this thing happen? You know, all of the tribes of Israel, except for the tribe of Benjamin, are all gathered together at this town called Mizpah. And he's giving an account. Is that what happened?
They gave her to them.
Yeah, he gave. Did that materially change the circumstance?
It may have, it may not have.
These guys in Gibeah wanted to have sex with the guy. And the old man who had taken the Levite in, offered his virgin daughter and the Levite's wife. And the guys turned down the offer. And then the Levite takes his wife and puts her outside for them. This is like you're going to feed the cats. You throw some cat food out on the porch and you shut the door. And they figure, well, we're not going to get him, we'll take her. Okay? I want you to go back to the very beginning of Judges, and it says, in the beginning of Judges, it says, they had no king, and every man did according to his what?
What was right in
what was right in his mind.
Oh, no.
And if you go to the very end, that's the same thing that it says the last verse of Judges. Okay? Now, I don't see how this can be right in the Levite's mind. I don't see how this could have been right in the guy that took him in's mind. I don't see how the homosexual community of Gibeah thought that what they wanted to do was right in their mind. And I don't see how the greater community could condone the actions. But evidently, all of that happened. That all happened because people did what they thought was right in their own mind.
It's sin, our hearts are desperately wicked. Who can know it? We don't realize how sinful each one of us can be. Or we don't even realize it. God sees it. It sickens him. But we do not realize it. Here's just a little glimpse of people without God in their lives. It's a...
This is the Israelite community. Benjamin is,
These are the chosen people of God.
These are God's chosen people. Part of them, anyhow. They are not ignorant of God's law. They are professing Israelites. We are professing Christians. Get the picture. The Levite doesn't give a full disclosure account of what happened. What happened did happen. Maybe they would have just gone away had everybody stayed in the house. Who knows? I don't know. But the way the story is, what actually happened is according to the story. So you have a whole lot of things that are not right. Do you think that the Levite felt responsible in any way for what happened?
It doesn't really say, so...
This is a guy who woke up the next morning and opened the door and finds her dead on the stoop. So while this was happening, he was sleeping. Must not have bothered him too awful much. At least not to tell you, hey man, they left me alone. I don't know what's happening out there. I don't want to know. But he was outraged. I don't know how outraged he was. Can't we all just get along? It's like, anyhow, after the Levite goes home and he sends out his gruesome heads-up letter to the tribes of Israel, and there's 400,000 warriors all mobbed up at Mizpah to inquire of God what they should do, how they should go up against Gibeah. They go up and they draw lots and says Judah should go first. Could they have? Before they did that, they did try negotiation. They said, you all know who did this. Send them out so we can kill them. We can put them to death. Benjamin doesn't heed this. They gather up their army to fight, to protect the wrongdoers. Could the other 11 tribes have done something different at this point? Should they have done something different at this point?
It's hard to say. Just when does negotiation stop and action begins?
I want you to consider the United Nations. Every time something happens somewhere in the world, the United Nations have fact finders who go in and say, yeah, there's all kinds of atrocities happening here. And what happens after the fact finders go in and come out with their finding of what they know was happening was in fact happening, and now they've told the whole world that this terrible thing is happening. It's happening as we speak. What do they do then?
Sanctions.
we protest most strongly. We think you should stop doing that. And the offending country goes, okay? And they protest more strongly. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. I got to give it to the Israelites that they gathered together and they go to do something, and they pick up the story. And okay. Verse 18, then the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God to inquire of God. They said, which of us shall go first to battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah first.
See, what I don't understand about all this, instead of the Israelites going against these people who killed that guy's wife, they're going to fight Benjamin.
Well, they asked Benjamin.
Yeah, but why are they going to fight him? Just because he didn't want to join them?
No. They asked, the other 11 tribes sent word to the tribe of Benjamin. They said, send out the people who did this. We're going to put them to death. Now, yeah, you have to understand, the tribe of Benjamin was invited. They knew. They got one of the 12.
You mean the bad people who came out of the tribe of Benjamin?
Yeah.
I don't see that in here anywhere.
Oh, yeah. They were Benjamites.
Oh, all right.
They were living in the Benjamite city of
I didn't
Gibeon.
see that in here.
Yeah. They were known.
My title here says there's a civil war going to go on here.
Well, yeah, it's a civil war.
Between the Israelites, the 11 tribes, against Benjamin.
Against the tribe of Benjamin.
They're going to fight each other.
All 12 tribes got a piece of the wife. He chopped her up into 12 pieces. So every tribe, including the tribe of Benjamin, got a message. And every tribe except for Benjamin showed up at Mizpah. And since Benjamin did not show up, instead of showing up, they start gearing up for war.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And the other 11 tribes sent word to Benjamin, said, go find the people that did this and send them out so that they can be put to death. And the tribe of Benjamin does not do this. So by proxy or by whatever you want to call it, they have involved themselves in the guilt. They have taken this thing upon themselves. And the tribe of Benjamin starts gearing up for war and basically says, we're not sending the guys out. If you want them, come and get them. And the rest of the tribes of Israel say, okay, you're on. They don't inquire, the 11 tribes do not inquire of God what they should do. They inquire of God who should go first. Now, I don't understand that reading. You got 400,000 troops. You send them all, and you just the war in the Iraq War, when they came to Ramadi, they came up and they had, I forget how many thousands of insurgents bottled up in Ramadi, and they just went around them and continued on up to Baghdad. Had I been in charge of the operation, they had them surrounded, they had them in a jug. You have 24 hours, stack your arms and come out, and whoever doesn't come out is dead. And you level the entire town, kill anything that moves in it. I don't care what it is. Poison it. Nuke it if you have to. So that there is nothing, and that's taken care of. Okay? This is what's happening here. This is what's about to happen. they've got leadership. Email that I received, is this germane to now? It is. Wow, she did it again. Australia says no. Second time she has done this. These are the bylines. She sure isn't backing down on her hardline stance, and one has to appreciate her belief in the rights of her native countrymen. Another one, a breath of fresh air to see someone lead. Australian Prime Minister does it again. The whole world needs leaders like this. This leader is Julia Gillard. She's the Prime Minister of Australia. And this is what she said no to. Muslims who want to live under Islamic Sharia law were told on Wednesday to get out of Australia as the government targeted radicals in a bid to head off potential terror attacks. Separately, Gillard angered some Australian Muslims on Wednesday by saying she supported spy agencies monitoring the nation's mosques. Quote, immigrants, not Australians, must adapt. Adapt. Take it or leave it. I am tired of this nation worrying about whether we are offending some individual or their culture. Since the terror attacks on Bali, we have experienced a surge in patriotism by the majority of Australians. This culture has been developed over 2 centuries of struggles, trials, and victories by millions of men and women who have sought freedom. We speak mainly English, not Spanish, Lebanese, Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, Russian, or any other language. Therefore, if you wish to become part of our society, learn the language. This is the Prime Minister saying this for all the world to hear. This is, this isn't just some little memo. Most Australians believe in God. This is not some Christian right-wing political push, but a fact, because Christian men and women on Christian principles founded this nation. And this is clearly documented. It is certainly appropriate to display it on the walls of our schools. If God offends you, then I suggest you consider another part of the world as your new home, because God is part of our culture. We will accept your beliefs and not question why. All we ask is that you accept ours and live in harmony and peaceful enjoyment with us. This is our country, our land, and our lifestyle, and we will allow you every opportunity to enjoy this. But once you are done complaining, whining, and griping about our flag, our pledge, our Christian beliefs, or our way of life, I highly encourage you to take advantage of one other great Australian freedom, the right to leave. If you aren't happy here, then leave. We didn't force you to come here. You asked to be here. So accept the country you accepted. That's leadership. That's guts. That's, this is right, you're wrong, and if you don't like it, leave. You don't have to be here. The 11 tribes of Israel go up against Benjamin, and God says for Judah to go in first, and they go in and they get wiped off. Judah loses 20-some thousand guys. They go back and inquire of God again. He said, go again. And they lost another 18,000 guys. This is to the Benjamites, 26,000 or so guys. So they inquire of God again. God says, go again. This time I'll deliver them into your hand. And they use a different tactic. They put some ambushes out, and they draw the Benjamites out of the town, and they pretend that they're withdrawing, that they're being beaten. So they keep backing up and backing out, and the Benjamites keep being drawn out, and then the guys come up out of the bushes and the scrub and the wilderness and everywhere, and smash them between them. And another contingency raids the town itself, goes in and burns it, kills men, women, children. kills every human, kills them all, keeps the livestock. And they go to the other Benjamite cities and do the same thing. There's a contingent of 600 Benjamites who escape, and they go to some place out in the wilderness, Ramon, or I forget what the name of it is. It's in here someplace. And it was kind of harsh. First of all, why do you suppose that the first two times that Judah goes up against them, Judah gets beat? God allows this to happen. Quick, we got about 4 minutes and we need to finish this now. If you want to have war, war costs. Okay? If you want to have war, do you need to have war, first of all? Had the problem been taken care of? Now, I am sure that these goings-on were not, this is the first time that this has happened. Might be the first time somebody died. Might have been the first time it came to an outsider. But you're putting up with sin. The other 11 tribes are allowing Benjamin to put up with the sin. The tribe of Benjamin is putting up with sin. Stupid hurts. Disobedience costs you. It always costs. So be obedient. Take care of it while it's easy to take care of. You let it grow, then it becomes something you may have to go to war over, and then it costs more. Then it's hard to put the fire out. Then there are more casualties. There are more people who have to pay the price. And you say, well, weren't some of these people innocent? Or weren't? If our economy goes down the toilet, do you think that will only affect the bad people? No, it's going to affect every person that's breathing. You will all pay the penalty for not doing what you may have been able to do easier early on. Be obedient now up front, or be obedient later. It's like the oil change commercial from years ago. The guy comes in, and his engine's shot because he didn't change his oil every 3,000 miles. The guy says, pay me now. He holds up the whatever brand motor oil it was to have your $20 oil change done, or pay me later when you need an engine rebuilt. Stand up for what's right. Stand up for what's right. And I don't know what that entails. Does that entail going down to your senator's office? Does that entail going down to D.C.? Does that entail running for office? Does that entail voting? Does that, I don't know. Does that entail standing up for your constitutional rights in whatever way will protect them? Does that include going down to your school board meeting or your Laura Huff is I think a township commissioner. I got to give her credit. She goes down and she says, "What happened to this? What are you?" And they say, "We're not going to discuss that now." What do you mean not going to discuss it now? This is the meeting. This is where you discuss it. Speak up. Anytime somebody doesn't want to discuss it now, they're hiding something. Your job is to say, "Well, why aren't you discussing it now?" So that it doesn't come to the point where you have to have like a new constitution or a civil war or some kind of uprising, like you did in the 60s. You had black people who had rights, constitutional rights, just like everybody else's rights, that were not being honored. And they petitioned. And they sat in. And they had protests. And they did all kinds of stuff. And what happened? Nothing happened. They started burning buildings and rolling over cars. Something happened. People sat up and noticed. That's called civil disobedience. It's terrible that it had to come to that. They should have been listened to. You have a constitutional issue. You have a point of law. And the people who are supposed to uphold the law do not. Okay? That's what happened here. The people who were supposed to uphold the law didn't uphold it, so everybody else came down on them like hot sauce. And they did what they thought was right in their own minds. Because the people were disobedient. Like I say, disobedient costs. Disobedience costs. So they end the war, and they send out some people out to the 600 who were holed up in wherever they were holed up at, and says to them, you know, we don't want to kill you anymore, you can come out. And they got 600 guys. There are no women left, and the other 11 tribes made the vow that they would not give their daughters as wives to any of the Benjamites. So these Benjamites, we don't want the tribe of Benjamin to fade away. We don't want to, don't want that to happen. So they got them 400 wives. Do you remember where they got them from? They went and got them from someplace that was Israelite, but they hadn't gone up against, they hadn't been part of the vow. There's still 200 wives short. So they told the Benjamites, it says, up in Shiloh they have a festival. And Shiloh's part of the other 11. So you can go up there and you can kidnap some people. That way they didn't give them to you. Kind of sidestepping your oath, but... And so you have the tribe of Benjamin. Continues on. But the point of the story is obedience. Obey God's word. If you do not obey God's word as a person, as a community, as a nation, you will pay. You will pay personally, you will pay as a culture, you will pay as a nation. There is no absolution or free pass. Doesn't happen. We're over budget. We need to let Glenn in.